Hey everyone, Sycra here, and today I'm doing a sudden stream at a bad time for people in North America, so I'm sorry. I'm very sorry it's a bad time for you. This wasn't planned. I was going to do something else, but it didn't work out, so we're doing this now. And I am joined by my special guest, Bob Meatbag,
Hey.
Ricardo Rodriguez,
What's up, guys?
who's...
Say it. You can say it. I'm the Jetty
All right,
Jet
and Jetty Jet Jet for the Jetty Jet Show.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Mm.
I'm Jetty
So
Jet.
today we are going to talk about Jesus, what was the topic? We're going to talk about how to fail in streams. No, we're going to talk about this thing about, okay, finding yourself in art and what happens when you've been drawing for a while. Because in the beginning, art seems to be mostly about gaining skill and gaining technique and knowledge, and maybe that's why you found this channel to begin with. Because you want knowledge and skill, and how do I get better? How do I learn how to draw? I want to draw. But later on, it changes, and it becomes much more about what you want to draw. And you start finding all these other things that sort of sound like BS when you first start, like finding out who you are and what you want. And these actually start to become important. So we're going to talk about strategies for improving and things like that. And Bob and I have been talking about this because the thing is, I make videos about stuff that I figure out, but it doesn't just come out of nowhere. And usually where it comes out of is practicing something and hitting a wall, or talking with friends and discovering things. So Bob, why don't you explain a little bit about where you're coming from?
Yeah. Well, if you look at my screen right now, you can see, this is a drawing that I've done like a month or two ago, and for a while, this was really all that I would draw over and over again. It might have different variations, but the expressions are very similar, the shapes are very similar. And
Yeah.
I wasn't
I remember
really.
when I first met you, you were doing this. Like, you would draw different things, but you would keep coming back to screaming faces.
Yeah. And at the time, I was rather bored with these expressions. They didn't really mean anything to me. I just sort of thought of them as a one-off, and in my mind, I thought that art, or in order to be artistic, I had to pursue something else, something that had more storytelling. So I chased more technical things, perspective, anatomy, and stuff like that. And the problem at the time was that I was really sort of denying a part of myself that was being expressed, because when I drew these faces, I didn't think about anything. They just came naturally. And when I think about it now, that's probably a pretty big indication about my art and about myself, because art is a reflection of yourself. It's a reflection of what you want to do and what you want to express. And because I denied that and chose skill over sort of just exploring myself more with my art, I didn't really go any further with this. And any other time that I would do art, it was to just practice skill, to practice techniques in order to get better. And that's good if you want to improve. But to find yourself in your art, you sort of have to, explore that part of you that can draw something really easily. Or for me, in my case, to explore what I could draw really easily, in which this case was screen faces. So one day I just started drawing random stuff, and then I got tired of. Well, I was practicing stuff, but I got tired of it, and then I just said, okay, I'm going to draw for the sake of drawing. And then once when I realized that and I let go of all my pretenses and just drew whatever I felt like drawing, this was the stuff that started coming out. That my shapes got more interesting, the expressions got more interesting, they were more varied. I started pushing
Yeah,
things more often.
because here's the thing, like you would always censor yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
and you would draw screaming faces, and then you would say, "Oh, that's just screaming faces. That's nothing. That's just when I can't think of anything to draw. I draw screaming faces."
Yeah.
And then we suggest, or I think I asked you, like, what if you just ran with it?
Yeah.
Like, what if it's not a bad thing that you draw screaming faces? Why don't you just explore it?
Yeah.
And then you start exploring it.
Yeah. I just really started going after, like, okay, what am I expressing? Put some more energy into it. And what I found was that actually when I do these screaming faces, not only do they warm me up really well because I can just draw them really easily, really naturally with no thought, but it was this thing of like my art sort of improved. It warmed me up quickly so I can draw other things well, and it just made drawing a bit more fun, whereas before it was very much more of a struggle. And every time that I had an encounter with art, it was like, okay, am I going to do well today? Am I not going to do well today? And then, art just became a lot more fun when I just let myself go and then started to explore this aspect of myself, which is what it should be.
Yeah.
And this is where the comfort zone thing came from, is that that's what I realized, is that you were doing your screaming faces and that was your comfort zone. But when you would start in your comfort zone, it was easier for you to do other things, to branch out of it. And that was the same for me with girls. Like, I would start drawing girls, and that was my comfort zone. I would feel like, no, that's not good. This is easy for me. This is not important.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience with that, Jet, where you had like a comfort zone thing that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much is who I am for the most part as an artist. It's like I'm constantly working in my comfort zone. So like, it's scary to push your work and try out new things because you want it to look pretty and play it safe. So
so your case is actually the opposite.
What's that? Yeah.
Because we are always trying to get outside of comfort zone.
Right.
And we're afraid of being in a comfort zone.
Exactly. I'm always staying within the comfort zone, and I really admire people who can break out of it. And I think that's the ones who can just completely forget about all that and have no inhibitions and just produce art for the sake of art and not to impress other people. And I guess my work is a little superficial in that aspect, but yeah, I find joy out of it. It's nice to draw pretty pictures, but eventually, it's very slow for me. And when I see what you guys are doing, experimenting, you know what I mean? You guys are on the edge all the time, trying to figure out the newest things. For me, I'm always just.
I think, like, I hear this a lot from a lot of other artists to say always break out of your comfort zone. And to go back to a metaphor that we used quite a while ago about juggling balls, it's this thing of, like, when you're first juggling balls in the air, you're getting used to it. You're constantly trying to pay attention to the balls. And it's hard to juggle them because you're not used to it. So it's sort of like, oh, here's this new topic. You try to juggle it, and it turns out you're juggling 10 things at a time, and then, okay, you're going to fail. But if you start off with 2 and get used to those 2 really quickly, adding another ball in is a lot easier because you're already used to juggling 2 balls, and then you gradually do it slowly. And what I found out is that starting off in your comfort zone makes you improve stronger, so that by the time you introduce something new, the things that you're already good at aren't a hindrance to learning this new thing. And in fact, it's actually quite it can help you.
Yeah.
Do you think? Sorry, I was just going to ask. Do you think? Maybe you could answer this, Ricardo. Do you think it's beneficial in the beginning, though, to not have a comfort zone?
No, not at all. I really think that you the way to everything. I mean, because I think it's common for every other area. I mean, I can talk a little bit about my experience as a therapist. because
Sure.
that's actually a big thing of what I do. Because if you have a kid with problems, there's a tendency to work on the problems. So I'll do the direct association to get out of your comfort zone. So you have this determined problems, and your tendency is to, okay, I got to address these problems. But no, actually, what you should do is take advantage of what the kid already has that it's good, and expand that and try to use it to get rid of the difficulties. So in this case, I think it's the exact same thing. You should use what you like to do, what you're good at doing, and try to expand it to try and grab other areas. And actually, that's what I try to do with my own art. I try to always start with something I'm comfortable with and I actually like doing, and then just reach out and try to include some stuff I'm not that good or I have trouble I want to learn.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did
Yeah.
you ever get the feeling that, because I don't know, I kind of had this feeling that art is supposed to be hard, and I don't know where I got this idea. Um, and so when things were easy for me, I always felt guilty, like this shouldn't, I should be doing something else because clearly this is easy and I'm not. It almost felt like I wasn't learning if it was easy.
Hmm.
I think that's the
Yeah,
trap about a visual when it comes down to a visual thing, because you're used to watch uh, other stuff from other artists that you find really hard, but you don't usually see the process that they took to get there, and it's
Mhm.
incremental. It's by slow steps, right? So maybe if
Yeah,
you analyze it all, it's not that hard from step to step, but if what you look at, it's the final result, so it's always going to look hard and difficult to achieve. So it's normal you have that feeling if you're doing something that feels easy. Maybe in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, no, this is not the way to do it because that looked hard. And it's just a guess, just a thought.
yeah. I think for me, I don't know, it was more a psychological problem of just thinking like art it should be hard. It's almost like I don't know, let's say I was gonna take this into like weightlifting or something. I would be lifting heavy weights all the time, and I always had to be lifting really heavy weights instead of I don't know. That's not a good example.
No, that's
Whatever.
actually a very good example, I think. Yeah. I mean,
It's like
if you
I
look at
feel
it,
like I need to. It needs to hurt to know that I'm improving. But then what would happen is I would suffer and improve and then learn a new thing, and then it felt like, oh, now I kind of know this a little bit, and then I jump onto the next thing, like, okay, I get this, and then I move and move and move, always moving and always feeling like, okay, I'm learning, but there's so much more to learn. And then I would see other artists who tend to stay in more of a narrow field, and I would look at them and say, you're not branching out that much. And then I would feel like I'm somehow doing more work because I was everywhere. And then I would see them like a month later, and it's like, nah, you're still doing the same thing. And then I would see them a year later, and it's like, you're still doing the same thing. But then they start getting really, really good, and then they started branching out, but in a very natural way where they were really solid. Like
yeah.
they were good at what they did, and they had staying power, which I didn't. Like I kept doing something until it was okay, and then moving, and then doing that until it was okay, and then moving, instead of really focusing on what is it I want to draw, and then get very good at that. And so, for example, with you, Jet, you were saying it as if it's a bad thing, where you said, I should be moving out of my comfort zone. But you're the prime example of someone who you got really good at what you do. And I remember seeing your work, and it was like, okay, this is what you do, and I see what you do. But then you did this thing one time where you changed your coloring technique, and you made it more like Hyung Tae Kim. You looked at his shadows,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, you can do this as well. And then you did like the manga stuff you've been working on lately, it's like, oh, you can do this as well, but it's because it's not that different, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think when I make it difficult for myself, or like the more I do something, I do tend to push it a little bit, but it's very baby steps, and like I'll start to experiment with things. As far as getting inspired, I have a very uh I guess confident way about going like with my inspirations. I'm not afraid to like, oh, that's something, let's just go with it. Oh, that's something, let's just go with it. But I guess it's my subject matter that isn't so impressive. It's not like I'm practicing new styles or anything. It's just um I don't know. I guess I'm
I
just
think
my
maybe
own.
that also has something to do with it. It's like I remember when I was doing my training phases, one of the things that kept going through my head was, I think of other artists and go like, well, they're the ones that are doing the real artistic stuff. And then by thinking that, I denied myself even further, and then further cut myself off from exploring what I should be doing with myself and my own style, my own subject matter.
Mm-hmm. It's where it becomes a matter of placing your focus, where you're placing your attention. You can either be working um while you're working on your own stuff and being satisfied and constantly improving that way, or you can be working and being like dissatisfied and focusing on what everyone else is doing.
Mm.
Yeah,
You know.
that's a good point. And oh, sorry,
No, it's
completely
go
lost my.
ahead. Go ahead, man.
Take your time.
Sorry,
It happens.
You guys,
Go ahead, bro.
you guys keep
Go ahead,
cutting
Ricardo.
out. No, I'm hearing you. Having trouble hearing you guys. You're
Oh,
cutting out.
can you hear me okay?
Okay, okay, it's fine now. Okay.
I remember what I was gonna say now.
All right. Say.
Whatever you do is what you get good at. So, for me, what would I do? I would jump around. I would learn something until I was okay with it, and then I would move on. So I got very good at learning something until I was okay at it and moving on. And so I never got really good at being good. I just got good at being okay and moving on. Whereas with you, Jet, you got very good at being yourself. And so, like, even with Bob and I, we are sort of playing catch up now, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's being happy.
Can I just add something? Because in a way, it actually turned in your favor because you now have the weapons to be good at good because you can learn it, and I've seen you do it. I've seen how you can consciously make decisions out of your own style, and that's not easy to achieve. And I think that's because of your background, because you're actually used to dig deep in solving things, so you can use that to your advantage too. So it's different approaches, but I think in the end, it served you. So
Yeah. I think we're all constantly evolving from what we were yesterday and constantly growing. So
do you think it's just okay to just do whatever then? Because I always feel this question of, I mean, the reason I have my channel is what would I do differently, you know? Like, if I was to start again or teach myself, how would I make this less painful? But do you think the pain is necessary? Like, maybe that is it, that you just have to go through a lot of pain.
I think the pain shouldn't be so painful to the point where well, it's hard to say. I think it's more of a balancing act. Like for me, like if I were to, I still have problems with perspective and anatomy and stuff like that, and those are things I'm going to have to go through. They may be very painful, but maybe I might find some way to learn it more easily. But it's either way, it's still going to be kind of painful. But I think it's, going back to the comfort zone thing, I think you should find a place where it isn't too difficult, improve where you are comfortable and what you're good at, and then that way when you branch out, there's always something that goes like, well, this may be difficult, but at least I still have this thing that I'm good at. And then I think that's a pretty good way of keeping in the game.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I've been working a lot on commercial stuff, a lot of for video games and clients and stuff. So I know this shouldn't be an excuse, but I just haven't had much time to experiment and explore with my own style. And when I do, I feel like it's always with a very comfortable kind of default style. But I'll add little nuances, little differences every now and then, and there's always just something slightly different. And after a while, you find yourself somewhere else. Um, but as far as the pain thing goes, I'm thinking about like the pain of learning something new. You know what I mean? If you learn something new, it's like it's always going to be painful and difficult. And I think that is a really important part of throwing.
Hmm.
And being able to face it, being able to take on the challenge. It's like, crap, I screwed up. I suck at this. And then you're sitting there like, oh my god, I just want to give up. Do you give up, or do you say, screw it, I'm going to continue. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to suck it up. You know, at
Yeah,
one, yeah, go ahead.
this happened with me and Ricardo because Ricardo pointed out something wrong in one of my, or something that could be improved in in one of my
Screw
pictures,
it, I'm
and
done. I give up.
no, 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 my immediate feeling is to get defensive and to be like, oh, because this is gonna be work. This it's like, oh no, I don't know, and then I get this self doubt, like, but I won't be able to fix it. I don't know what I'm doing, and this always happens to me. It's like the same process, and then usually what I do is I've gotten better at it because before it would take me about a day, but now it takes me a few minutes. I'm like, no, he's got a point. Fix it. It's not going to be so bad. And then I fix it, and it's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was fine. It was fine.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but there's this initial feeling of like, no, I don't want. No, I can't do this. And I feel like maybe for some people that's where they stop. They
Mhm.
get that like
Yeah, yeah.
the fear takes over, and it's a case of
Yeah, and that let me just say something because that will what happens next will depend on your own personality and not only that. Oh, sorry, the way you actually deal with because it's almost like being cornered and you're gonna run away or you're gonna face it or you're gonna actually come to terms with it. You'll either accept it, you'll run away, or you'll confront it, right?
Mhm.
mm,
In your case, you're a little bit defensive, but you actually come around and accepted it, right? But I feel
yeah.
like a lot of people,
I always eventually accept it. It's like yeah, he's got a point, and I realize I'm just being a little how do you say bitch in a nice way?
Bitch.
Pussy?
Baby.
Um,
Baby.
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I
baby.
feel,
I was being a baby.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people actually turn hostile in that process
Mm.
instead of withdrawing. In your case, you withdraw, you refuse it, right? But then you actually accept it. I think it's more manageable than people who actually become aggressive to it. But the
So
the
what would
feeling is,
being aggressive look like?
uh, well, I ultimately you just the other person will just say you don't know what you're talking about, and
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, like that.
you do
Or
it
like you
your
get
way,
into
I'll just
putting
do it
down.
my way, or something like that, or you're not right and I'm right, and you're wrong and
Or
I'm right, something like that.
it's my style.
I think it's
Yeah,
very
or
natural.
yeah, it can come in all sorts of uh, ways, but you can kind of feel in the other person's response. Uh,
I
yeah.
think I think it's a very natural process for a lot of
No, it
artists.
is.
It's
It is. It
for
is. And
becoming defensive.
it's not easy to let go. It's an actual natural response of to
We
everyone.
we feel
And
like
I
it's
think it's a big step for an artist to actually let go of it. And
yeah.
but you actually have to be aware of it to let go. So. Sorry, Jen.
There's
Go ahead.
no, it's alright. There's this one thing. My teacher, one of my teacher, it's like it was heads and hands teacher. He told us on the very first day, and he understands this phenomenon that happens with us. This association with our art and thinking that it's us. It's not separate from us. That's the problem. I think is that he told us
Mm.
that on the first day, we need to step away from art, and every time we walk into the classroom, you need to take your fancy coat of ego and you hang it on the door, and then you begin drawing. So some people will get it, some people won't, because if you're stuck in your ego, you're clouded, and you won't be able to see beyond it. It requires a lot of self-reflection, and
Yeah.
I think that's really a personality thing, like Ricardo was saying. So like, what makes a good artist, or like, why are you good? Was it skill or talent? I think one of the very key aspects of a great artist is just the willingness to overcome those egotistical, or overcome that pride. It's a
Yeah.
personality thing. It's like someone
Yeah.
who's willing to take on challenge, as opposed to someone who's not. So if there's two kids who are the same page in their life, same drawing ability, the only difference is one of the kids sees his work differently, and will continue to grow in life differently.
Huh.
Ambition.
Yeah. That's
I
really
think
true. Go ahead.
I also think it really comes down to what actually attracts you or what your ultimate goal with art is. Because I see that it's a lot easier for people who actually really care for art for itself to improve a lot faster and a lot smoother without all the sacrifice. Um, in contrast to someone who wants to just, oh, I just want to be good at art to show off, or to not to show off in the douchey way. Just I just want to show off how good I am at art. It's just my goal. Or I like art because it relaxes me. I think those kind of, it's like a hobby. I feel like it's more easy to stagnate, to get to be confronted with these kind of questions,
Mm-hmm.
contrasting with someone who actually wants to, no, I want to produce good art no matter what. So they
Mm.
will tend to come to terms with a lot of the struggles more easy than people who just have other
Yeah.
goals with art. Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah.
starting off, I started off on a very competitive state, just competing with all the kids around me. Had a lot of kids who like draw, like two or three that were just we were just like pretty much the same level all the time and better than me. I think till this day I still think they were all better than me. I even begged one of the kids, like, can you just like stop drawing for a year? Like, I need to catch up. Like, that's how bad I was. And this is elementary school, so that's what got me started, which wasn't very healthy because
And he
it
did, right? He did.
he did, and I met with him, and then
That's the worst part of the story is that
he
he
says
actually.
he says
Yeah.
he says you told me, he's like, you told me to stop drawing. This is like a couple years later. I was like, dude, sorry. This was luckily middle school, so he continued. He started drawing again. It's okay. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, dude. You should have kept trying. Like, it wasn't until like it wasn't until like before college I started to see the dark side inside of me, like the darkness, the defensive side of me. Like start questioning, what is this? Why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I saying this to people? Like, I remember drawing something and I was so proud of it. I was practicing new painting techniques and I was like on the verge of learning something new, and I asked my brother and his girlfriend, what do you guys think, you know? And being my big brother, he had trouble complimenting in general, you know what I mean? But he took it a step further. He just would not say anything, and then he started critiquing it. So number one, I'm already judging him, saying that it's because of him. Number two, I didn't like his critique. That night, I spent at least 3 hours doing exactly what he said, not telling him, and I learned something. He was right, and I was like, you know what? It looks better. I'm so happy I did what he did, and that was one of the biggest lessons that I had, was to overcome myself and not be so consumed by my pride. Feel me?
Yeah. I think so much has to do with just it's like a battle with yourself, not anything else. You think it's like I need to learn, like so much is
Mm-hmm.
I have to learn anatomy, I have to learn proportions, I have to learn this and that, and it's like that seems like it's important in the beginning, but that you can overcome pretty quickly. Like what, a year, 2 years of intense study.
Yeah, it's technical. It's a craft.
It's technical, and it seems like that's the big thing, but that's not the big thing. The big thing is everything else. Like, what do you want, and who are you? And I think that's the biggest question. Who are you, and what do you want to do? And a lot of people don't know this, and they use excuses for why they don't have to answer that. And I think I did too, because I would say it doesn't matter because I need to learn values, or I need to learn, like, there's just way too much to learn that's technical. And then when I finally had enough of that, it was like, what do I do with this? And I realized I never really accepted who I was or what I wanted or what I liked, and I started to ask myself, what do I like? And that's when I started doing my pointy style and sharp. And it's because whenever I saw sharp things, I thought it was cool, but I thought it was like not, like that can't be a reason to do something, like just because I think it's cool. And then I started realizing that this, and this is more recent, once I accepted that I'm someone who likes sharp things and I like to make my style really sharp, I started to realize that all my preferences in life have this, like, oh, I like this car. It happened to be sharp. Like, it had a cool, sharp look to it. I like this. I like, what animals do I like? I like hawks. I like eagles because of their beaks. They're sharp. I like wolves because in profile they've got like a very sharp, triangular face.
You're a predator.
I always said, like, I don't like guns. I don't find them cool. I like swords. But I never really understood why. And then it's like, swords are sharp. And they're like, and this happened over and over again where I would see things that I liked, and then I would look at it from this new perspective of, I like triangles, I like sharp things, I like pointy things. And it's like, yep, it's the same thing. Even in terms of, like, looks in another person, I like certain eye shapes, and they happen to be sharp. So, I don't know.
That helped contribute to your style.
So, yeah, now I really know what I like. It's become the opposite, where it's like, I really, really know what I like and why I like what I like.
So, helping the people who are trying to find style, what can they pay attention to? What little subtleties in their
I
preferences?
think they can look for what they like, and see if there's patterns. Like, maybe you like round things.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you know what you like, it's actually a lot more comfortable to work within those shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Bob used to work a lot with blocky beans, right?
Yeah. Like these kinds of shapes, right?
Yeah, and I remember when you were learning, was it you were learning anatomy and you were trying to copy it and it wasn't working, but then you put it in beans and it was really easy?
Yeah. Like, I would draw, okay, this is going to be crude, but let me get rid of some of these things.
FYI, if you guys are looking at my screen, I'm referencing a picture from this music channel on YouTube called Ultimate Nightcore. And
Oh, because I was going to ask you how you came up with that idea for the helmet thing, because that's so cool.
Oh no, it's completely referenced. I'm reimagining it because I like. It's just it's so basic, but so just cool. Just futuristic, cute anime, everything that I enjoy. I guess, yeah.
Can you show the reference, or is not allowed?
Yeah. We can pull it up. But go back to Bob.
Okay, I'll let Bob continue.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, I'd use this shape, right?
that was the shape you used after, but the beginning shape you were actually trying to copy it, and it was all like it was not working because you weren't being you.
Yeah.
You were looking at the books and trying to copy the books, and then it was like that was not. It was all wonky, and then you switched to your bean shape, and it was like, whoa, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
exactly what to do.
yeah, yeah. It was just going with something that I was more comfortable with instead of just going with something else that was completely out of my zone.
And I see this with people asking me questions too, where they will tell me things like, I am really comfortable with this, with using like a certain tool. Like maybe I'm really comfortable with using this pen, and I know I should get into this other thing. So what of this other thing should I get? And I'm thinking like, you don't have to. If you're really comfortable using that, that's fine. The tool shouldn't be something that you always need to change. I mean, it's good to experiment though. So there's the two sides of this. One is be yourself and do what you're comfortable with, but then also experiment a little bit. Like you don't want to be all experimenting because you'll never know what you're good at, and you don't want to be only sticking to what you're good at. You want to stick mostly with what you're good at, and then try some new things and see, how do I like it?
Yeah.
Oh, studio.
Stay who you are, but keep evolving.
Yeah, I think
There's a
you
refuge
should
there.
have something you can drag along through your experiences. I mean, I feel like there's a lot people who experiment a lot are people who haven't still find that thing, and it's fine. I mean, maybe it's their root is that I need to find myself, so I'm going to experiment with a lot of stuff, and eventually they do. But
I think I did though, but I was never finding myself until I actually changed the question I was asking.
yeah.
'Cause instead of asking like, what don't I know, I started to ask, what do I want to see? What do I like looking at? And experimenting all the time. I think it was a way out of it. It was like a distraction in a way. Because there's always new things to learn. There's always new experiments to be done. And so, I don't know, I think you can just experiment forever and never find yourself if you let yourself do that.
Yeah, it can be a dangerous road. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll just give up. Yeah.
It's always a balancing act, I think. You know?
Because, okay, so Bob, let's say you didn't do the screaming faces. What do you think you would have done?
I'm not sure actually. I probably would have just kept on switching because the thing is, my interest was always changing. Like I'd see one style from this artist.
Can you go back to when you were doing the studies before the screaming faces?
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
I was just wondering if we could look at like what types of things you were doing.
So, okay, let's start with this. Why don't we? It's like we got stuff like this, and this I wasn't really trying to study anything in particular. I was just drawing. But with stuff like this, I was trying to experiment with my style. I was trying to see which type of characters I like to draw and that kind of stuff. These kinds of things, character designs. Oh, here's a good one. Coloring. Kind of stuff. Trying out tracing other artists' work just to see if I can get their lines. Trying to learn perspective. Zazaza stuff. And just basically my interest just kept changing all the time because I didn't really have anything to really focus on. So one day it could be perspective, one day it could be character design, one day it could be color, and I was never really sticking to one place, so I never really improved. But yeah, it wasn't until I really started focusing on screaming faces that it's just like I felt as though there was something that I could focus on, that I could pinpoint and go, here's where I will stay and branch off of from, instead of trying to go everywhere at once, saying, oh no, I'll just stay here, no, I'll stay here, I'll stay here. It's like that didn't really get me anywhere.
Show the. Do you have the screaming face one where you start doing the perspective like
Yeah.
so?
So, like with the stuff that you can see right now, it's like, yeah, they're screaming faces, and I'm mostly playing with shapes. But then here's when I started using a bit more perspective, and here's when I really started focusing on perspective. And because it was in my comfort zone, it was sort of like it was a lot more easier to handle the perspective stuff. Because before, I was always one of the things that tripped me up when I studied perspective is like, oh, I got to draw something, like a chair or a character and stuff like that. It'd take me forever to try to come up with something. But with this, I just sort of like, okay, just draw shapes, screaming faces, in various shapes and sizes. And it's just like, okay, now I'm practicing perspective. And it's really quick and efficient.
I think the most interesting thing about your faces is there's ones that I can see that are more you.
Yeah.
Like, you would think, oh, it's a screaming face, it's a screaming face, it's a scream. They're all the same. They're all just screaming faces. But it's like, there's certain ones that it's like, that, you nailed it. That's totally you. And I like, okay, so on the, it's still on the screen, but it's like on the lower, it's underneath the perspective ones with the shadows underneath them.
This one?
Yeah, it looks like there's 3 people and they're talking, they're having a conversation to me.
Screaming at
And,
each other.
Like, the one on the far right, he's saying like this unbelievable story.
Yeah.
And the one in the middle is like, no way. And the one on the left's like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
And another thing, when you zoom out, Bob, a little bit, just put the everything together. I mean, that looks freaking awesome. Well, if you zoom too much, you can't actually see it. But like a panel, like a mural, that would be awesome. I think it would work really nice.
Thanks.
I like it. I like all the shapes, all the dynamics. I mean, it's really pleasing.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's something that happens when you are passionate about what you're drawing.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. It shows.
We were talking about that last night, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was talking about my highest paying clients were always inspired by works that I did for myself. Nothing from art school. Some just me just screwing around, and one time just saying, you know, it's been a while since I've been drawing any kind of anything anime related. You know, I just want to just do something fun, simple, and then I painted something, and then from that I got work. YouTube, that got me some work, and it's like all this stuff, nothing that school trained me for, or prepared me for. All the portfolio work that I had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just like, that's funny how you learn all this stuff. Like, this is basically my point in the end. You learn all this stuff, and what good is it? It's not... People don't look at the skill. They look at the passion, and if it's done well, like if you have skill, that's when it will really shine. But it's the passion that's what shines through. That is the main thing. It's, you've got to be enjoying what you do, and it's got to be you.
Yeah.
Can't be looking at other people and being the next them, you know.
My best friend from the from art school, he now is the CEO and lead art director of his video game company, and they're doing very well. They're on their second game. Their game's on Steam and everything, but he studied illustration, and he is completely different. He like programs part of the games, everything but what he studied in his major in school. He found success in out of school. Crazy.
I was noticing with like your work, Ricardo, that you're at the stage where I'm seeing you switch now. You're like going over this hump where before I could always see your work as the inspiration. Like I always saw your work as Joe Mads.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Ricardo, he draws like Joe Matt. And now it's like, oh, Ricardo's, you're drawing like you more. It's really
Yeah,
interesting to see.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I guess I kind of I went I already I have done that before. I kind of deviated in certain ways, but I never really liked it. And this time I think I am probably on the right way now because I'm more comfortable and I actually like more of what I do now. I don't know if it's just uh, another phase, but every time I tried to deviate in a certain way, I never really liked the results. But now I feel that's true. I feel that's happening now a lot more.
Hmm. I think I went through a similar thing where I was just drawing random stuff, and then I started to notice that the ones I liked, it's like, oh, I kind of like this one. It's pointy. Because I tried like different shapes. I tried really round shapes. I tried getting more blocky, and it was cool. Like I would look at Zagwazev, and his stuff is very much more blocky. Like, wow, that's really cool. I really like that. And then I would try it, and it's like, yeah.
Not really compatible.
Like it looks cool, and you're happy that you could do it,
Hmm.
but it starts to feel like, I don't know. I think what would happen is I would spend more time looking at his work and looking at my work, and it's like, oh, it doesn't look like his,
Hmm.
and getting discouraged because I wanted it to look like his because his looked so good.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was finding what I liked, it's not that I'm trying to make it look like his. It's like I'm trying to make it look like me.
Yeah.
And now if I see something, I'm going to be looking at it like, huh, I wonder what that would look like in my style instead of, I don't know. Like it was wishing, right? Like I would look at something and be like, I wish I could do. I did this Wolverine redesign a while back. But it was that thing. It was like, okay, I have an idea-ish, and I wonder if I could pull it off. But I had no idea of what I was really and what I liked. And it takes a while to build up your style. It's not going to happen overnight. Like with what Ricardo was saying, like this stuff takes time, and it's a case of like, okay, so you go through that time, but eventually you figure out, oh, this is who I am. Okay, now I get it, and then I can do it instead of just wishing. Like, I wish I could do a cool image, and how am I going to accomplish that? And maybe I'll do this, and maybe I'll do that. And that's really looking outside of yourself, and it's an external motivation. I feel like the strongest motivation is always internal. It comes from within you.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
Like if you
And
were watching.
there's some.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No,
you
no,
first.
no.
No,
No,
no.
you first. I insist.
I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change the subject.
No, I mean,
Oh.
okay. It's just there are kind of the exception to the rule where there's this kind of person that you see that you've always known and they've always been focused on that one thing. It's almost like they knew what they were supposed to do from birth or something.
Hmm.
And I think those people are really inspiring. Every once in a while you encounter one. I don't know if you ever had that experience.
Yeah, I have. I have.
Yeah, I was always envious of them because
Yeah.
they had it all.
You
They
have,
had it all. It was effortless.
Right? Yeah,
And
it's just they're guided through their own means. They know where they're going. They just have to go through
And
it.
this
They don't have.
this is actually one of the reasons I started my channel, because I would hear artists talk who were successful, and it was always this thing. Like I would constantly hear, well, I was passionate and I followed my passion and I was always drawing all the time and I did what was fun, and everything seemed so easy, and I just kept looking at my own life and thinking like, I hate this. It's hard. This is a struggle for me. I'm depressed all the time. And then I kept feeling like, does that mean I'm not going to be successful? Because everyone successful has this great passion, and it seemed like it was always there. And then, so I tried to be the exception to the rule in that way. So I think if you
Yeah.
believe you're the exception to the rule, you can be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do believe that.
And the thing I was gonna
Like
say,
anyone, if they wanted, they can do it. Go ahead, Jet.
yeah, the thing I was gonna say before Ricardo stole the spotlight, JK, was imagine watching like an anime or any story. You'll see the protagonist going through his story, and then at one point, his lowest point, he's about to be defeated, and everything just looks like he's just gone to poop. And you're watching. What do you say? If you usually you're rooting for the protagonist, you're probably saying, "Get up, you can do it, come on, motherfucker, you can do it." Right
I'm
now,
not.
no, yeah, I understand.
Bob wouldn't say that.
Bob, you're on another level, but yeah. So just say,
You might as well give up.
Just lay down, die. Doesn't matter.
You're just making it harder for yourself.
exactly. So imagine you're the protagonist in your own story, and when you feel like giving up, think of yourself outside of yourself saying, "Don't, don't you like you?" It's literally someone saying, "Hey,
Get up, Rocky!
yeah." It's like, "Are you gonna take on the challenge?" No, I'm gonna cower. I'm done. Like, it's just drawing. Come on, it's get a piece of paper, brush it up, and start over. You will be better than the last.
I think the saddest thing that I see, and I feel, actually I feel really bad for even mentioning this because I know a lot of people like this and they're not bad people. They're good people, but there's this sad thing that I constantly see, and it's people who they will tell me why
What did they tell you?
why they didn't succeed. You know? Like everything they say is I was gonna be this, but then I couldn't because of this. Or I tried that, but then like it's always excuses. And maybe they always have ideas like I'm gonna start taking lessons for guitar, and then I'm gonna be good at guitar, and then I'm gonna make songs, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then you talk to them like a year later, and it's like, so what happened with guitar? Oh yeah, that didn't work out, and I was doing something else, and
Oh, that's me.
so
No, again.
no, but Jet, you stuck with art.
Yeah.
But it's a
There's so
case.
many. Yeah.
If you stick with one thing and you do it, like 5 years down the road, if you just kept doing that one thing for 5 years, you're gonna be pretty good at it. But if you do it for like a little while and then I tried this and I gave up, you're never gonna get good. And I almost feel like some people don't really want to be good. They just like to feel bad. It's like they're addicted. I don't know. This maybe I'm completely wrong here, but it just feels like why don't you just do stuff? Why are you telling me what you want to do and why you can't do it?
I think it's just the romance of, it's the fantasy of being good. They really don't want to go through the process. I mean, it's
a lot
like,
of sacrifice to be good at something as well.
oh yeah. I mean, people don't get that, and I think it's well, I don't want to go in there because it will change the subject, but it will. I think it's a reflection of the days we live in today.
Actually, that might be interesting. Go ahead. Go there. Go there.
No, because you're always looking at great stuff, but you never see what it takes to get there. And there's this. It's almost. Damn, I can't find a word. It's usual to be good because you see a lot of good people now because of the internet. So it's like anyone can be good easily. So they start to fantasize
Oh
and
yeah,
a little
we
romance
see
because you see good
oversaturated.
people all the time and in a lot of areas and so you kind of start to think, oh, that's normal to be good. It's normal to be good, so I just can be good. But they never got in touch with the hardship that it's behind it. So yeah, I think that's it. When they kind of realize what they have to go through in order to achieve it, they kind of no, I don't want to go through that. I just
Mm-hmm.
maybe and I think what they do is they jump to another thing and see if they can be good at that without effort. I feel that a lot in a lot of people. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, people don't understand how long or how much work these things take. Um, I was looking at old sketchbooks because I found some old sketchbooks of mine. I was looking through the pages, and it was just like hand studies, and then flip the page, hand studies, hand studies, like, oh my god, this is so boring. Hand studies, hand studies, and I thought I wasn't hardworking, and it was like, oh, I guess I did something, even if I didn't feel like I was super hardworking. It's something. And then when you look at other people who talk and talk and talk about, I want to do this, or I could do this, or I did this, or it's like, okay, show me what you've done. Oh, just that one. Wait, you did one drawing in a month? Well, yeah, because I needed critiques on it. What? 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 You need to be doing like, what? What? That your microphone is really messed up, Marius.
Oh, I
Oh,
heard.
is it? Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, you kind of sounded like a whale.
Oh,
Oh, okay, give me a second.
It's
alright.
very deep. Anyway, well, Marius is figuring that out. Did I
How about
interrupt
now?
you, Ricardo? Oh, it's much
no,
better now.
no. I wasn't
Okay.
talking.
Sorry.
What's up,
What's up,
nerds?
Marius?
Hey,
Do you have something to add into this topic?
Uh,
I guess that's no, because he dropped. All right.
Yeah.
Oops, I got dropped.
Oh, there he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, he dropped.
Was there a question or like
Well,
I heard
not
something,
really.
but
We're talking about what were we talking about?
You were talking about how there's this one. For example, there might be a person who says, "Oh, I want critiques," but they've only done like one picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, uh, I don't know. It's
It's
it's weird to deal with that kind of people. I mean, I've known a lot of people like that they keep saying, "Oh, I suck at this," or "I'm not good at this," or "I can't do this," and they say, "Oh, I want to do this to get better," and so on, but they never get to it. It's all just words. I don't know. It's a shame really because a lot of them really have a lot of potential and they don't
Yes.
do nothing about it, and that's like it's really sad because you see it in them, like they get to a point of a really decent point or a really good point really fast, but then they just stop, and it just takes them a lot of time to find the I guess you can say the passion. Like at the beginning, at least for me, that's how it was. At the beginning, you find it really hard to find uh, interest and maybe pleasure in doing art, mostly because you don't do, amazing stuff. You're just mediocre, or your stuff looks, whatever. It's not that great, and you have all of those nice ideas, but you never get to illustrate them well because you just don't have the skill. So, you get demoralized and stuff like that. So I feel like it's really hard to get to that point of finding pleasure in what you do.
mm-hmm.
Like I don't know
Hmm.
if you know what I mean, but it's just, it's that feeling that you just sit down and you just enjoy working, even if it's hard or, you know, easy, or it doesn't matter. You just enjoy it. You're just there, and whatever it comes, you deal with it, and it's nice. It just gives you joy to work.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I feel like you know, it's really hard to get to that point. It was hard for me to get there, you know. And you know, sometimes I even get lost. You know, I tend to go back to, you know, not feeling that great because let's say I had a really rough piece to work on and the clients gave me shit, or you know, it happens because yeah, not all the clients are easy to work with, or you know. So yeah, I don't know. I understand them, but at the same time, you know, the only way to get out of it is to work, and that's what I did. Like I didn't enjoy it, but I had to work, so I just forced myself to work, and because of that, I somewhat managed to get out of it, and it just became easier, and I started to find pleasure in everything I did, art related. So, you know, and I think another problem is that some of the artists are not competitive. I think it's really important to be competitive, not in the sense of, oh, I need to be better than that person, because in a way you can't really be better than that person,
Hmm.
because you know that person is that person because it has a style. I mean, he has a style, or you know, that sort of thing. But you just you just need to set a point of, okay, this person is this good with this, like, well, let's say with lighting. I want to be as good or better than him with lighting, and approach things that way. Not, oh, I want to be better than him, you know, period. And I think that sort of mentality is good, you know, to set like bars for yourself to say, so now I want to be as good or better at color than this person, or at shape or light, or you know, whatever you want. And a lot of people don't have that, and I think because you don't have that, you're gonna slack a lot and just be really slow at developing. You know, that's how I feel at least.
Yeah.
It helped me, you know, being a bit competitive.
Hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah,
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 I think.
yeah. You need that. You need that fuel. You need something that fuels your work, or else whatever it is. Maybe you're just competing with yourself. You're competing with someone else, or you actually have a goal that you need to improve in order to achieve that goal. I mean, because I feel like art is really just a tool, right? And if you're it's I don't I think it was you, Sycra, that said that you have this really shiny sword and you keep sharpening it, but then at the end of the day, don't it's a sword. You're supposed to use it, right? And you have this shiny, sharp sword, but you don't know what to do with it. So you kind of lose interest in just sharpening that sword all the time because you're not goal oriented. You
I
don't know
like
what you're
that.
going to do with it, and you end up giving up. So if you have something you want to achieve in your mind, you will work towards that. So yeah.
Mm.
So a real quick disclaimer again, the drawing that I'm drawing is from a really famous music channel called Ultimate Nightcore. It's all over YouTube, and there's like 10 million views and all that stuff. But I just don't want people like screaming like copycat and all that stuff. Here's
Jet,
the
you're
picture.
totally copied. Oh my god, Jet, you totally copied this Ultimate Nightcore thing.
So I
I
saw
can't
that and I
believe
was
you.
like, it's so fucking cool. It's very just straightforward like sci-fi anime chick, and I'm like, I want to reinterpret it or redraw, you know. And I don't think there's
Yeah.
any harm in that. It's like just see what I can come up with.
It's
I
exactly the same, Jet.
yeah,
What have
it's
you
just
done? Oh
nothing.
man, that's so unoriginal. Nah, nah. Do you think it's okay to be telling people, because I sometimes wonder about this, that it's okay to do art as a hobby? Like, you don't. Because I feel some people, they're not cut out for it, and then they just put themselves in a situation where they hold themselves to, like, I'm a failure if I don't become professional.
Hmm.
But it's like you don't even want it that much.
Hmm.
And I feel
Yeah.
like saying, it's okay, just do it as a hobby. This is fine. You
Yeah.
you seem to be fine without pursuing this. Because with people that become artists, they just do art. Like, that's it. From what I've seen, anyway. For people who don't, they're the people who are like, I had a plan B. I want to do art, but first I'm gonna do this, so I have this safety net, and then it's like, you do realize you're gonna be using that safety net, right? Because we all fail, and then you're supposed to fail, but you have nothing else, so it's like, wow, now what do I do? Nothing else to do, I guess I'll keep drawing, and you keep drawing. But if you have something else to do, it's like, oh, it's over. And then I guess I'll go back to plan B. So whenever someone tells me, like, I want to be an artist, but I was planning to get this other thing first, I almost feel like you don't have to be an artist, you know? Like, you can just do it as a hobby. But then I don't know. I don't know what's allowed to tell people, because I don't want to discourage people, you know? The whole point is to encourage them, but at the same time, I don't know if everybody wants to be this.
Well, I think the people who you're talking to are all worth it because you're here. So it's not other people. You know what I mean?
So you can only give what you can to them, and then afterwards it's up to them to do their part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true that.
All right, I'm gonna look at questions real quick and see if I can find something.
I've been. Oh, you're. Because there's a chat. There's actually a chat.
There's. I didn't know there was a chat, and this is.
Yeah.
I see there's a chat, and I'm confused that, like, how is there a chat when I didn't make a chat? But okay.
Yeah,
And there's another
chat room is
there's like
pretty empty
Google. There's a Google one as well where people have been asking questions.
Oh, there's a Google chat. Wow,
Yeah, there's a Google chat, and then there's
Where?
the other YouTube chat where people are talking as well. So we have 3.
That's confusing.
A lot of people are upset about the time. I'm very sorry for all my North American people. It will be recorded, so you don't have to watch. It's okay. Just go to sleep. It'll be okay. It'll be here tomorrow. It'll be waiting for you.
I bet a lot of European people are cheering.
Yeah, the Europeans are like, yeah, and Australian people are like, finally. No, they don't say finally. They would say,
Like
good
with
day, mate.
Sycra.
Good day, didgeridoo.
Why are they talking to didgeridoos?
Okay, so okay, so Pencil Heart asks, how do you do the different expressions and feelings on skeletons because they don't have muscles and skin?
Oh, you just
Bob, you could do it. Yeah, you're the only one who could answer this question. 'Cause you're right. You don't have feelings with, like, as far as my brain works, it's like you don't.
Yeah, well, it depends on how you. Yeah, it depends on how you look at the skeleton. If you go like, this is just pure bone structure, and then you don't think of that as anything else, and you just draw the skeleton, then it's like, okay, they pretty much only have one expression. But if you say fuck the rule, then you just, you know, I'm not sure if you're watching my screen, but
yeah, we're watching your screen.
Yeah, you know, you fuck the rules, and then you just draw whatever, and then immediately that's a different expression. You know?
Yeah, so I guess you have to fake it.
Yeah,
and
you got to fake it.
Play with all the different. Okay.
And this is completely screwed up, but you know, it's just an example.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, you kind of give muscle attributes to the bone itself. So
Yeah. But you manipulate the material, and then And as long as it has, as long as it has the things that resemble a skeleton, sockets, nostril, teeth, and sort of like it still reads as a skeleton. You know, it's this thing. Like if you can make it look like something, and it still looks like it, you can get away with a lot.
How you deal with that if it's like a realistic skeleton though? Because that's what I find weird.
You would use lighting then, right?
Yeah. It's like you use lighting to show what the material is.
Well, also the mood. Like if you want something to look creepy, light it from underneath.
Hmm.
Because you
If
know,
you
like
want,
the skull, for example, it's kind of it looks sad all the time
Hmm.
because of the eye sockets, you know, where the eyes go, you know, the eye socket. It kind of looks sad, you know. Look at this. You know, it's like
Hey, Marius,
Yeah.
Marius, we're
oh
doing the
hey.
same thing.
Oh yeah, hey.
What?
We got the same model. Oh my god, it's kind of creepy. Um, yeah, they do look sad. You're right.
Yeah, like the default skull looks
Do
kind
you
of
know
sad.
why do you know why they look so sad, Marius?
Oh,
Oh.
it hit me.
Because they're dead.
Oh boy.
There's because
Yeah,
there's because they're
that's
dead.
what I find really hard about skulls. At least it's I find it hard to give them expressions, mostly because they're sad all the time. They look sad.
Well, sometimes you could also just manipulate the eye sockets a little, and then it's just like, okay, just change the shape of it, and then if everything else is, you know, realistic, then sort of like, yeah, you can get away with it. Because like I've seen tons of paintings where it's just like, okay, the skull is painted or drawn in a realistic way, but the shape of the sockets are a bit different, and then instead of looking sad, it kind of looks intimidating. So you know,
Mm,
it's art. You know, you can go with whichever interpretation, and you just play with the rules.
yeah. Eyes are sad and the jaw line is happy, resembles happiness. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
But yeah, like stylizing it, I find it really easy to like give it expression.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's not that hard, in my opinion.
What happened?
Is Sycra gone?
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think.
He's frozen.
Oh,
Yeah, his
it's
face
on
is
a
frozen.
That
permanent
smile.
smile.
Well, I can't hear him though. Is Sycra, are you there?
I can't hear
No.
him at all.
Can't
No,
hear
I
him.
think he fell. He's gone.
No way.
Yeah, he's not
He
here.
doesn't say he's gone.
Oh, he's gone from the hangout. Come on.
He'll be back soon, I think.
No, am I back?
Yeah.
Oh yes, you are. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not back. So what happened is on my other, because I have the laptop with the, this is terrible. I have two things, and on one of them I am gone, and on this one I'm here. So one of me dropped, but the one without a webcam is there, so that's fine. People don't have to see my stupid face. We don't want to see your stupid face.
Yeah.
Ah! Ah! Bob, you always know how to make me feel good, Bob.
It's my job.
It's a Bob job.
So someone has a question
Mhm.
related to tablets.
Yeah.
He asks if someone has a Intuos Pro 5 large, and what do we think about the size? If it's too large or
Nope. I have Intuos 4. Medium.
I have a Intuos 4 large, and I can say it's nice.
Are you still using an Intuos?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean I have the companion, but I just use it when I want to sketch or something.
Whoa.
Whoa.
There's like 3 Sycras in my hangout.
All right. There, that worked. That worked.
I don't know about you. Like, what do you guys think about the sizes, tablet sizes?
Oh.
What works for you?
Cintiqs.
It takes.
Wakong. Me and Ricardo were talking about this before we started streaming.
Ricardo, you got a 13. What did you get? You got the Cintiq 13-inch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
the whole Cintiq experience. I've tried it, but I've only owned Wacom's, and I'd say it's about 20% better than regular Wacom pads. But that's 20%, and I've only used like. What I'm saying is the Cintiq is definitely better, but you can still do pretty much everything with.
I think you've. How long have you been working with tablets, Jetty?
About 5-6 years now.
Yeah, I think you would probably need like more than one experience, like a week or something, because your brain is really set up to work in that kind of.
Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? More than a week to practice the Cintiq?
Yeah.
No, I practiced the Cintiq for a full year. I had a class.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then it's okay.
yeah.
Okay. If you feel the same way, yeah.
No, and
Yeah.
like I said, Cintiq was 20% better than the Wacom pad. The
Yeah.
Cintiq is
Yeah.
better because it's direct. You're drawing right on the screen.
Jet, I would like to see your numbers about this 20%.
The data's confidential. Sorry, it's encrypted and everything. I'd say 20% just by feel. You know what I mean? Because I like it, but
Moving
it.
on.
I for one like the tablet more.
Yeah, I used to like tablets more too, and then I got a Cintiq.
I think. How large is yours, by the way?
It's 22 inches. No, but I'm serious, because I used a Cintiq at animation school, and I did not like it. And what I realized is a lot has to do, because I also got a Cintiq companion, because I had too much money. No. But
Greedy bastard.
I was
You
using
don't
the
need that.
Cintiq companion, and I didn't like it, and it was like, this is not fun. And then I put it in the same position as I put my sketchbook, when I draw my sketchbook, and then it was way better. So I think if you want to try a Cintiq, put it in the position that you normally draw in, and then see if you like it.
Ricardo, you can't do that though, right?
I can. It's a lot of. And it's annoying with all the cables and stuff. But yeah, if I really want to, I can. I'm just a little bit lazy.
Next question.
All right. Mark Burnell said something interesting. He said, feeling bad can be very addictive. After a good cry or a good rant, you feel a lot better. So you teach yourself to feel bad so that you can feel good afterwards. I think that can be a case where people get addicted to that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Was Mark Burnett?
No, Mark Burnell.
Oh, sorry, Mark Burnett.
No. Pencil
Not
Heart
sure if
has-
it's a good habit though, but you can see
I don't
that.
think it's good. Especially people who have like a bad habit of, like, for instance, I feel sad, therefore I eat.
Oh, that's me.
Is it?
Yeah, not really sad because I don't.
Is that why you're getting bloopy?
Yeah, dude, it's not sad. It's stress.
Oh.
Yeah, stress. Too much work. He's like, gotta go eat, and then I get lumpy.
Keep stuffing yourself up, Jet.
Why? What do you want to do to him if he gets that big?
Don't ask me that.
Oh, yeah. Let's not go there. Okay. So the next question is, I wanted to ask a question about drawing technique. When I'm painting and rendering a drawing that started loose, I find the more I refine the drawing with a painting method, the more stiff it got.
Yeah, we were talking about
This is the thing. This is the thing that takes years and years. Jesus.
I was gonna say,
I still have that. It's just the most annoying stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, right?
well, for
This is
me,
like a curse.
the approach for me is if you got to decide which is your focus. There's line and then there's paint. Are you focused on line or paint? So if you do really nice lines, make the line the star. It's the focal point. It's the entree if your meal. And which one's the appetizer? Which one's coming secondary? If you want to be more painterly, focus mostly on paint.
I can tell you're thinking about food.
Mm.
Do you know
Yeah.
who's really good at line and paint?
Who?
The people who put the lines in the middle of the street.
I knew it.
But here's my method. Like seriously now, here's my method to deal with that. Is to start with a gesture that's way more extreme than you even want, and then by the time you constantly refine it, you will get more and more stiff, but it will end up in a place that you're happy with. And so I started doing crazy gesture, and it seems to work.
Word.
Because I think cleanup always does that. There's really, it's very difficult to not do that. I think you can after practice, though.
Mm-hmm.
What I try to do recently is after I do my sketch, if it's a line sketch, I try to like paint in a way that I overlap strokes
Yeah.
and I play with edges. And I
Mm.
think that way you can achieve a sense of um, how I call it motion and maybe perspective and stuff. So it's all about like I think you need to just because if you have a how I call it a gesture sketch, something that's really powerful and energetic, it's usually because it doesn't have a defined line, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Most of the times, at least.
That's what I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm leaving all my roughs and just being really loose.
So I think if you translate that you know uh, uh, feeling of not being exact into painting, like it may achieve the same thing. I think.
Yeah. And
Oh, there
also,
was a guy that did this really well. Sorry that I stopped you. He paints those boxing guys. If you know him, you probably know. I'm really bad with names, but yeah, he's really really awesome. Let me see if I can find him.
Paints boxing guys?
Yeah, he's kind of old. Really good though.
you know who else is good at that? Kolosov. He's really good at that. Sergey.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. He's so gay they called him Sergey. Sorry.
Hey, we love the gay people too.
What? It
I'm just saying.
wasn't an insult.
But
You can be super gay, don't you know? Yeah. It's up to you.
I like when you bury yourself and you're just digging the hole deeper.
Who? Who, me?
No,
Yeah.
me. It's.
What? I don't.
Happened.
Okay, I found him. It's this guy, Steve Houston.
Alright.
Steve Houston.
Yeah, I think like he's like the best.
He's the best.
Well, not the best, but he's really good.
Oh,
I
hold
can
on.
I don't think you can say someone is the best. So
Oh, I think we can.
it's all
Subject.
subjective, yeah.
Okay,
That's Captain
I'll
Junkie.
Like beauty and art, like.
shoot. All right. I'll screen share this guy. So this is what is so great, according to Marius.
Oh, you're not.
He's
You're
the
not.
Oh.
This is a drug. No, it's very rough. It's very rough. When I find it's getting too rough, oh no, I was gonna make a bad joke. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Make the bad joke. You know you want to.
Someone says, Ricardo, please, I just left my university to focus 100% on my digital painting. I have no motivation all of a sudden. What did you do directly after ending your studies? I remember this from the Sycra interview. Huh?
I responded to that on the chat.
Oh, you're responding on the outside. Okay, okay.
I don't want to interrupt you guys.
But it's okay as well, because if people, I mean, if it's personal, then yeah, I suppose. Okay. But if it's helpful for other people outside, that's good too.
I was, yeah.
Someone
And
said, "Oh, go ahead."
No, that's okay.
No.
I was just gonna say it's. I don't really understand what he's asking anyway. So.
Someone said Cintiqs cost arms and legs, but that's not true. They cost money because Bob tried giving them arms and legs and they didn't want them.
Yeah.
Try give it to McDonald's. Oh.
Oh shit.
Was it that funny? Really?
To me, Marius, you know how to tickle me.
Because you know, it was this article that a lot of people actually believed that they found arms and legs in McDonald's bags or whatever. I was like, who the f believes that?
Yeah. I like how you're saying "who the f," but like before you were just swearing all the time.
Did I say
Yes, yes.
Is it PG like something? Sorry.
It shouldn't be.
What?
I guess it should. I don't know. I didn't put an age restriction. I should have.
Well, I'm on, so I think that's an indication.
That what? It is or is not?
That it's not.
Okay.
PG-13.
Okay, so
Maybe
Amelie.
live stream should not be PG. Sorry.
Amelie Kessler asks, you say that to be better faster you should do one or two things only, but what if you need to approach on a lot of different subjects, for instance to prepare for an art education? What? So, what do you mean you're preparing for an art education?
How do you
You're going to
prepare
be
for
an
that?
art teacher? I don't understand, like, you want to be an art teacher? Or...
I think it's those schools that you actually have to be accepted. You have to be at a certain level. Isn't that?
Oh, okay.
That's what I. That's
Oh,
what
you mean to do a portfolio?
Yeah.
To get into
Yeah.
an art school?
But isn't like any school like that in a way?
No. Art Academy was private. It took everybody.
Well, okay, in the beginning, here's the thing. Like, yes, you need to go through this long, hard, boring process of... Well, it doesn't have to be so boring, but this long, hard process of gaining skill. My point is, don't forget why you're gaining the skill.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to remember that, because it is such a long, hard process that you can forget.
So there's an A. So there's an A.
What's K-Ching, I guess? Ka-Ching? Ka-Ching? What's your inspiration to draw?
I'm just copying right now.
So your inspiration was you saw something you found was pretty,
Yeah.
and you're like, you know what? I can do that.
Exactly. Let's pull it back up if you guys are looking. Like, I just said, it would be cool if because I've seen pictures like this before. It's like archetype. It's like techie sci-fi anime chick, and then I'm like, why not just give
With
it a
like headphones and
with
stuff.
headphones? Yeah, with big old funky gear. It's common. So I'm like, I want to
It's
do it.
very common, yeah.
Just like a sticker you put on your computer, and just like there it is. It's quick, easy, fun. No thinking, no brains. So, yeah.
What's your inspiration, Bob?
Mine.
Was that
Sure you want to know?
Or you were asking?
You answered the question just by saying mine. Amazing.
Well, there you go.
What's your inspiration? Mine. It's like the answer is you fool. Why would you ask me such a question? Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm scared. I may ruin everything, but what's your inspiration?
What's my inspiration? I don't know. I've been drawing screaming faces for as long as I can remember. Yeah, I don't know. I guess self-expression. I'm not exactly sure, but I just draw, and whatever comes out comes out. But yeah, depends.
It's like me on the toilet.
Yeah. Whatever comes out comes out. Yeah.
All right. Rex says, "How do you deal with real-life distractions while trying to improve? I find it stealing my motivation or making me rely on art to like." What? Make me feel better, but that somehow bothers me. Huh? I find it stealing my motivation or making me rely on art to like.
What was the first thing you said?
How do you deal with
real
real-life distractions while trying to improve? I think
What
those.
is real life distraction? Is it your kids and your wife and brushing your teeth? I can't understand what's real life distraction.
Real
Like,
life.
you're not playing World of Warcraft, it's real life.
Oh, okay.
I think that's something that happens, and what can you do, right? You just got to get back up on that horse when you can, and yeah.
You tell him.
Giddy up,
Giddy up.
giddy up, horse.
Chat up.
Faster, why don't you?
Yeah. Right.
I'm a person, not a horse. Okay. What advice do you have on transferring from training yourself to draw daily rather than just drawing when you feel inspired to? I talked about this in my video. Just draw one drawing a day. Make sure that you're drawing once a day, and it doesn't matter how long it took you. Just you're doing once a day, and then you become someone. As soon as you do that, you make sure, like, I do not get to sleep until I draw today. You're probably going to draw then if you're really disciplined and you focus on that. I've been pretty good at this. Like, I can set up these rules for myself, and then it's like, you're not allowed to do this unless you do this. And It's like, okay.
Yeah. He is
So-
Good mentality.
So then, okay, so now you're doing one drawing a day. Then anything on top of that now is extra. And then you just keep adding on, but you never subtract. You know what I mean? But, I mean, not never subtract, but I always do one drawing a day, and it'll start to feel really weird if you don't. Like, you'll feel wrong. All is not right with the universe. But I also think it's important to take a day off. But not drawing at all, just drawing for fun. It's 3 p.m. in Russia. Wow. All right. Do you see any questions, Ricardo? Because if there's no more questions, we should probably wrap up soon.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been an hour and 30 minutes. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody who took the time, especially if you're awake late. I'm so sorry if you're going to be really groggy tomorrow. Just remember, it's Bob's fault. And I wanted to thank my special guest, Bob. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming by, drawing your stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marius. I didn't
No
see.
problem.
I didn't see you. You want to say hi real quick?
What?
You want to put your head in the screen so we can see you?
Let me see. Hi.
Thanks.
Nice
And
to meet you,
Ricardo. And Ricardo, all the way from Portugal. I mean,
Yes.
it's like he's
all the way from
traveling
here.
long distance just to be with us today.
Yeah.
Dedication.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Oh, you're anytime, buddy. And then finally, Jet, who this picture looks really familiar. I feel like I've seen this somewhere.
Yeah, it's original, man. I'm very inspired that way. Thanks, Sycra, for having me, man.
Well,
You're the best.
and I'll put links to everybody's stuff in the description in case you're not familiar with who these people are, because I was sort of like not introducing them as it's J Jet from the J Jet Show, Jet Kimkea, and Ricardo Wave Loop from freaking like Wave Loops, unusual art.
Oh shit.
All right. All right.
Alright, take care, everybody.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care, everyone. See ya.
Draw safe, guys.
Yeah.